Welcome back to Beer Brackets, everybody. This is a really, really important one. So this beer, Kilkenny Irish Cream Ale, we kind of reviewed it on the channel before. Well,
You did.
I reviewed it on the channel in a double review that we did, where Alessandro did the Guinness Foreign Extra Stout and I did the Kilkenny Irish Cream Ale, because these are both two Irish beers that neither of us could get in our respective countries. So we did separate individual reviews. But when we do these separate individual reviews, it doesn't count as an official Beer Brackets beer review. So if you go to beer-brackets.com and click on beer ratings, it's not officially listed. It's not officially rated by Beer Brackets yet.
Not yet.
But it will be now. This is a bit of an elusive beer.
It is.
This is like a...
It is a
yeah.
bit of a white
It really
whale,
is.
if you want, depending on where you live.
Yes. Depending on where
Depending
you live. Exactly. If you happen to live in Australia, New Zealand, or Canada, then this is not that quite of a white whale. This is readily available. But any other country, including Ireland, from what I've heard, this is not the easiest beer to find. Very interesting beer. If you're curious about the history of Kilkenny Irish Cream Ale, then definitely go check out the kind of sort of half double review we did on it. I go nice and deep into the history of it. But it's a monk beer, my friend. It's originally from a Franciscan abbey, an Irish abbey.
It is. It
Yes.
is also there
And
on the can, my
yeah.
friend, like depicted nicely.
There it is. You see it right there on the can, that beautiful abbey. And it's no longer brewed in the town of Kilkenny. It is brewed by Diageo at St. James Gate Brewery in Dublin. So they moved production over there, and it's under the Guinness Diageo umbrella now. But it was the oldest brewery in Ireland. Well, the oldest independent brewery in Ireland until it eventually became part of Diageo. There are so many legends about this beer, buddy. You know, you've tried Smithwick's, obviously, and maybe people out there have tried Smithwick's Irish Red Ale. It's rumored, if you check out the Wikipedia page, it's rumored that Kilkenny was put together as a slightly stronger version of Smithwick's for export. And we ran this by Steve Gilsonen, the global head of quality, in a past Beer Bracket session episode. And I asked him about this legend, and he didn't deny.
He didn't confirm or deny.
He didn't confirm, but he didn't deny. He just said it's possible. Because what it says on Wikipedia is that they changed the name to Kilkenny because they thought the name Smithwick's would be too hard for people to pronounce or too hard for them to identify with in other countries when it was exported. So for the purpose of export, they renamed it Kilkenny because it was brewed in the town of Kilkenny. But it seems like what's there in Wikipedia is maybe perhaps true, perhaps not, but it remains a beer legend.
And
which we
therefore,
love.
my friend, because it's a beer legend, it's 100% accurate.
Exactly.
That's all we need to know.
Exactly.
At least here in the pub. At least here
Yeah,
in the
that's
pub.
right, man. At least here in the pub. Beer legend is the ultimate form of information.
right.
We don't trust any beer information if it doesn't come from legend.
I'm really excited because I've had this beer in the past back in Europe, not in recent years until you were so kind to bring these two cans over to me in your last visit. So again, thank you again
very
so
welcome.
much for your kind present. And I am really,
That's what I do. I'm a
Yeah,
beer
exactly.
Sherpa.
Like the beer Santa.
Beer smuggler. Let's do it. Let's
do it.
crack it open, as it says on the can there. Contains floating widget, so it's not the bottom base attached widget that we've seen in some
You can
nitro
hear
beers
here.
recently. It is yeah, you can hear it.
Makes noises. All right.
So these cans are actually kind of notorious for the widget failing. In fact, the first time I reviewed it, the widget failed, and I had to go get another one and pour it again. So let's hope it doesn't happen here, because I only have one left, and that's the only one that you have. Oh no. Okay, the widget definitely works.
It works.
It exploded everywhere. Oh my god. Beer like. Oh. I just got a ton of beer cream. Look at that.
Look at that.
Oh my god. Yeah, well.
Oh wow, you got
it's beautiful,
even
right?
more there.
It's such
huh?
like. Yeah, because mine just completely exploded everywhere, and it was just, the carbonation was super intense, and that just created this giant.
Beautiful beer, amber color.
But it's so milky. Look how milky that head is. It's unbelievable. Like, really, it looks like milk. So my desk is covered in beer, but we truck along. All right, buddy.
Aroma,
Aroma,
cheers to you,
cheers.
my friend.
What do you think?
Ah, this is nice. You have that.
Yeah, I've got like 7 inches of head on it. I think it's
You
blocking
get all the
aroma
foam,
really
my friend. All the foam.
I got to tilt it enough to get past the foam.
I find this one refreshing for the fact that it has a very nice, rich malt presence. I will say, though,
Yeah.
it does have an element of sweetness, and there is definitely a hop presence, but there is an element of sweetness that is
It
quite
does, yeah.
rich. It's not unpleasant, but it's definitely present. So I think I'm going to start, my friend, I'm going to start with the 1.5 because I think it's good. It's middle of the road though for me because like this sweetness is really it's almost pushing it over the edge. What do you think?
I think you have a slightly more accurate sense of smell than I do. I've noticed this. I've noticed this in a couple of beers that I think things that I think that I don't pick up on. If I think a beer has too faint of an aroma, you pick up on things. They're like, oh yeah, oh my God, you're right. I think that you have a very evolved sense of smell. Very accurate. Yeah, I think that's one of your specialties as a beer reviewer, I would definitely say.
That's too kind, my friend.
You're right. It is malty, sweet. There's not too much going on there. This isn't the most complex beer in the world. There's not a million descriptors you can throw out there. Malty and sweet are the two. I think just like its little cousin Smithwick's, I think it's very faint by design. Mm-hmm. It's very subtle. This is meant to be a very crushable, creamy, drinkable ale. That's always been my biggest gripe with this beer and with Smithwick's. I just like more of what I smell there. I'll go with the 1.5 too, not for your reasoning though, just because I'd like more. I think it's too faint. Fair. Let's take a sip,
Cheers,
buddy.
My friend.
Kilkenny. Here we go. I gotta say, how beautiful is this beer?
It is.
Like visually,
it is really appealing. You see a glass full of this, like with that nice, beautiful, thick, creamy head, like, and you just want to take a sip. Yeah. It's beautiful.
That milk thick head, and just this clear, clean, amber body. Clear. It's like purity level 99.9%.
Agree. I like it. Maybe it's because I don't get to experience it that often. But the taste is every time brings me back like to that like very specific memory I have of it.
Beer memories
of Kilkenny itself. Like I think it's a very unique flavor it has. And
best kind of memories.
This combination of quintessential and easy drinking beer leaning more towards the malt, but then it adds this creaminess to it that
it does.
It's the only other beer that I can think that it's similar in a way that we've reviewed recently is the Saint-Amboise Cream Ale. Like has some resemblance to it, but it's different. It's different. I like what you said, faint in the notes, but I find it actually pleasant. That aroma sweetness that could potentially be overpowering. It's not overpowering at all on the taste. It's just like a nice, beautiful maltiness transition into very slight hop presence. Easy drinking, very refreshing. So I'm going to go with the 2.5, my friend, because the taste of the beer is actually unique. There's not many other beers that taste quite like this. And I think that uniqueness needs to be, it deserves a praise.
It's just so subtle. But that is this beer. That's what Kilkenny has always been. That's what Smithwick's is. Same thing. It's just so subtle. It's such a crushable beer. Anybody can drink this. Anybody of any beer experience level, any level of appreciation, liking for beer can drink this and appreciate it because it's milky, creamy, and subtle in taste. That sweetness, a little bit of dark fruit. Hops there is more on the finish, but there is a little tang of bitterness there from the hops. But you're right. There's a very specific, I don't know if it's the yeast, but there's a very specific flavor that's very recognizable. I will go with a 2 because I like it, but again, I'd like just more flavor, especially after having the Saint-Amboise, because the Saint-Amboise was so flavorful.
Fair.
It was so hoppy and malty and so pale ale-y. This is like, I just want more. So I'm going to go with a 2. Mouthfeel, buddy. Beer Brackets tradition. We got to do a little bit of a refresher here.
Well, let's do it.
top off this beautiful looking beer. Again, if there was an aesthetic category, this would be a hard 3-on-3.
Oh yeah, my friend.
Maybe that's something we need to do. Maybe we need to add in an aesthetic, or at least work that into one of the categories at some point.
Cheers.
Well, cheers, buddy.
The silky smooth creaminess from the nitrogen infusion that, aside from a few other that recently have come on the market, like Guinness is kind of the most famous beer that has this kind of effect. So it kind of mixes these two styles in a way that is unique, I find. On the mouthfeel, there is a little bit of lingering sweetness compared to, for example, a Guinness, where I find like the silkiness is there, and maybe it's because there's that roasted element that like takes over. But I do find that on this, the silkiness like kind of fades, and then you have a little bit of that like sweetness.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with the 2, my friend.
It's got this, when people talk about Guinness as being just cream, this is cream. I think this achieves milkiness so much more than Guinness does, even more so than Murphy's might be a little bit even more on the milky side of things, and Beamish as well. This, I think, perfects that part of it. That sort of nitro creamy milkiness. But you're right, there's a lingering something there. It might be from the sweetness, but there's kind of like this residue that gets left on your palate. I don't know. I find if anything's fatiguing about this beer, it's that.
Yep.
It's really hard to explain. This beer is so unique in that way. You got to kind of drink it. But yeah, I'll go with the 2.5 actually, because I think it's really well done. But there's just that little something that takes me out of it. But now, buddy's a finish.
Finish.
What do you think with Kilkenny?
One last sip here. I find the finish is probably the category in which like the hops are showing their presence the most. Still, like the sweetness and the malt presence are the main elements, but that bitterness like is slowly building up, and it's there. Actually, it's pleasant because otherwise you would have like that almost overpowering sweetness. So I think they played with those elements very carefully and very well. I think that I'm going to land with the 2, just because like again, like I find this element of sweetness to be, it just like starts,
it's really where it comes out.
Builds up.
I think the main detractor from this beer, aside from the fact that it's really mild, is the finish. Because if there's anything that's fatiguing about it for a beer that's this mild, it's that sweetness that lingers on the finish. You definitely get the hops. There's bitter, sweet. I would love more of a traditional English pale ale maltiness, where there's some breadiness there. There's some crackeriness there.
Yep.
There's a little bit more substance to it than just that sweet element. So I'll match you on 2. I agree. All right, buddy. As an overall beer experience for Kilkenny Irish Cream Ale, what do you think?
I think this is probably one of the rare cases where I didn't have to think too much about it, but I think for this one here, I'm going to land on a 2. I find that it's a delicious beer. Better than middle of the road, which would be 1.5.
Yeah, I'll match you on the 2. I think that's the perfect point for this beer because it does something really unique. It's good. You can tell it's well done. It's quality. But I think it just, if you combine the mildness of it, the subtleness of it, and if you add that sweetness factor in there, it just doesn't, especially after having the St. Ambroise Nitro Cream Ale. If you're wondering what we're talking about, I'll put a link to that one in the description down below. It's a wonderful microbrewery here in Montreal called McCausland, who brew a line of beers, St. Ambroise, and they have a Nitro Cream Ale. And all their beers are very much inspired by traditional British brewing techniques and British beers. And the Cream Ale has such a British pale ale character to it. And after having that and realizing what this style could be, coming back to this, it's like this is just a really drinkable, mild, watered down version of that with a little bit too much sweetness. So yeah, 2's where it lands for sure. The category system that you put together for our different beer scores and the term that goes along with it, the descriptor, is absolutely perfect. And in this case, we gave the same score, 3.33 on 5, and it comes out to a great beer. And that's what this is. It's a great beer. It's not excellent. It's not outstanding. It's not perfect. It's great.
It's a great beer.
Let us know down below, everybody. What do you think about Kilkenny Irish Cream Ale? And
Don't forget to close your beer brackets.
never do. And click that beer bell. It's going to let you know when we're hanging out in the pub. So you can come, go to your fridge, crack a beer, bring it over to
Exactly.
your computer, sit down and hang out with Alessandra and me. And have beer.
Whatever you're having. It's always come and hang out in the pub. It's a nice place. There's a lot of beer memories in here, as you've seen.
A lot of beer memories floating around here.
Everywhere.
If this desk could talk, oh my God, this is just covered in beer.
It's a beer
It's got
lake.
soaked. When I opened it's been covered in Kilkenny this whole review. It's soaking in there to the cheap IKEA pressed wood.
It's ready for
Just soaking it.
for St. Patrick's Day, my friend. It's soaking it all
Oh
in.
man. I am never replacing this desk. I think I bought it for like $80 and it's lasted me since the beginning of I bought it right before we started Beer Brackets, I remember. And I set up this little makeshift office in this apartment we just moved into in Toronto, started filming there, and I've had it ever since. And this is like I've got my money's worth out of this beer desk.
That is the beer desk,
So
my
many
friend.
beers.
It's gonna have to follow you
Yeah.
everywhere, wherever the pub is.
I know, and you've still never seen it.
No, I have not.
You've never seen it in person.
I have
You've
not.
never sat at the beer desk.
I have not, my friend.
It's not in good shape. It's not a good. You gotta see. It's
Has beer
years of
scars.
Beer soaking into it. It has many beer scars. Many. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.